Detective Benjamin Cross pressed play on the missing man's phone. He had no idea that 7 minutes later, he would be the one begging to turn the screen off. But by then, it was already too late. Apartment 47 was forced open at 6:42 a.m. The neighbors had reported strange noises coming from inside throughout the night. Someone was crying. Someone was laughing. At times, it sounded as though dozens of people were talking all at once. When the police entered, the apartment was empty. The bed was unmade. A fresh cup of coffee sat cooling in the kitchen. The television was still on. Water was running in the bathroom. But the owner was gone, as if he had simply vanished into thin air. The only unusual thing was a smartphone lying in the middle of the living room. Its screen was still glowing. The last recorded video was open. Detective Volkov tapped play. A pale man in his 30s appeared on the screen. Dark circles hung beneath his eyes. He kept glancing over his shoulder. "If you're watching this, then I didn't make it." He swallowed hard. The most important thing, don't watch this video until the end. He was about to say something else when his eyes suddenly darted to the clock. 3:16 a.m. His face instantly drained of color. No! He jumped to his feet. He rushed to the front door, locked every deadbolt, then shoved a wardrobe against it, then a chair, then a heavy table. Every movement was driven by pure panic. 1 minute left, he whispered, so quietly it sounded as if he was afraid someone might hear him. The detective frowned. "Paranoid," one of the officers muttered. But a few seconds later, everyone fell silent. A knock echoed through the recording. Knock, knock, knock. Not at the front door, but from inside the wardrobe. The man slowly turned the camera toward it. An old wooden wardrobe stood closed. The knocking came again. Louder this time, as though someone was trying to get out. The man whispered with trembling lips, "You weren't supposed to find me." The answer came immediately, but it didn't come from the wardrobe. It came from somewhere very close to the phone, right beside the microphone. "You only think that." Detective Volkov instinctively lowered the volume, even through the speakers. The voice sounded wrong, too deep, too hollow, like it didn't belong to any human being. On the recording, the man slowly backed away. The wardrobe door creaked open by itself, without making a sound. Inside, there was only darkness. Not ordinary darkness. A darkness so complete that the phone's camera couldn't capture a single detail. Then, a hand slowly emerged. It was impossibly long, unnaturally thin. Its fingers almost brushed the floor. The detective felt his muscles tense. The man on the recording screamed. He ran into the bedroom, slammed the door shut, pushed a dresser against it. His breathing became ragged. "It can't get in tonight," he repeated over and over, as if he were trying to convince himself. Then, his phone rang. The caller ID read, "Mom." Slowly he answered, "Hello." For several seconds, there was only silence. Then a familiar woman's voice spoke. "Don't open the door." The man let out a sigh of relief. "Mom." But the voice changed instantly. Cold, empty, not human. "Because I'm already inside." At that exact moment, the bedroom door slowly creaked open, even though he had never touched it. No one in the police office spoke anymore. Even the young officer who had laughed earlier now stared at the screen without blinking. The man slowly turned the camera. Someone was standing in the corner of the bedroom. Very tall, far too tall. Its head nearly touched the ceiling. It had no face, only absolute darkness where a face should have been. The figure slowly raised one arm and pointed directly at the phone. The man whispered, "No." The figure moved its hand again. This time, it wasn't pointing at him. It was pointing straight into the camera. Detective Volkov suddenly felt a wave of cold crawl over his skin. For a terrifying second, it seemed as though the creature wasn't looking at the man in the video. It was looking at him, the person watching the recording. Suddenly, the video froze. The screen turned black. Everyone let out a breath. Then, without anyone touching the phone, the recording started playing again. But something had changed. The phone was still recording, even though its owner had disappeared hours earlier. The camera showed the empty apartment. The detective looked at the video's timer. His forehead tightened. Instead of stopping at 7:13, it kept counting upward. 7:14, 7:15, 7:16. "That's impossible," the forensic technician whispered. The